Chase HQ was an arcade game released in 1988 where you chased criminals in your souped-up police interceptor like Mad Max, and it was brilliant. The game was very similar in style to Outrun, yet instead of racing against a time limit, you could chase criminals and ram them off the road and bust their ass. But back then, the only place you could play games with graphics as good as this was in an arcade. Now for you youngsters who have no idea what an arcade was, it was a place where you could pay to play the best games around. And I shoveled many 50p's into this game, as nothing could top chasing bad guys at 180 miles per hour. In fact, the only strange thing about the game was your partner. He would shout instructions as you rammed the bad guys off the road. But it sounded like he was having some sort of sexual experience, like he was getting off on it. I mean, he would shout things like, "Harder! That's it! Harder! Yeah! Bear down! That's it! Ooh! Oh man! Harder, please! Oh yeah! Giddy up, boy! Ooh! Push it! Harder! That's it! Harder! Oh no!" It was like he was having a sexual experience in the passenger seat, like he was some sort of driving pervert. And you know me, I don't stand for driving perverts. But that aside, Chase HQ was a monumental game. It was more than just a racer, it was cops and robbers, and driving at high speeds and crashing into tumbleweeds and ramming criminals off the road was awesome.
Okay, you're under arrest on suspicion of armed robbery and murder.
This is Nancy at State's headquarters. We've got an emergency here. A gang of Chicago pushers are fleeing towards the suburbs. The target vehicle is a German sports car. Over.
Gotcha, Nancy. Giddy up, boy.
The game even had a boost button, where you could hit insanely high speeds, and the engine of this game was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. Even Outrun couldn't match the high-speed adrenaline of Chase HQ. I mean, by the time you saw a car, you'd already passed it, and the thrill of the chase and driving around at high speed with your siren flashing and ramming bank robbers off the road was a thrill that few games could match. Chase HQ was gaming at its most simple and brilliant, and dodging cars and trying to catch high-speed criminals was highly addictive. In fact, the game was such a success it was ported to home computer by Ocean Software. I even had the game on ZX Spectrum, but since the ZX only had about 5 colours and terrible graphics, it wasn't quite the same experience. But despite the cars being the same colour as the road, the game had a charm. And back then that was the best I could do, short of buying a Chase HQ arcade machine. Even on the ZX Spectrum the gameplay was still great, and there was no doubt this was a classic game. But home computers just couldn't do it justice, like an arcade machine. There were only about 5 bad guys in the game, but because it was an arcade game, if you ran out of time and the bad guy got away, you had to pay to continue, so 5 bad guys was more than enough to drain your pocket money. But the reason Chase HQ was such a success was because it wasn't just another racing game. Instead, you had car combat, which gave it a whole new dimension.
Okay, you're under arrest on suspicion of selling drugs.
In the end, Chase HQ proved so popular that it spawned a couple of sequels. But those games changed the gameplay. They started adding guns to the game so you could shoot at the bad guys and shoot at the cars. But for me that was kind of cheating and it kind of defeated the point of the game. Chase HQ is probably the inspiration for games like Burnout and Driver and the Need for Speed Pursuit game. I mean, it might seem quite basic today, but this game with its car dodging, high speed, cops and robbers, racing style combat was revolutionary in its time, making Chase HQ an instant all-time classic and one of the greatest games of all time. In fact, even today, whenever I get in a car I shout, "Let's go, Mr. Driver!" And then I start shouting things like, yeah, harder, that's it, yeah, push it, bear down, oh, yeah, giddy up, boy, oh, no.
Nancy at Chase headquarters. You keep putting around like that, and I'm sitting out. Over. Nancy at Chase headquarters. The target vehicle should be in your sight at any time.
Nancy, we got the suspect in our sight. Over. Okay, we got him fast, Mr. Driver. Please. More. Push it more. Please. Oh, man. Bear down. More. Please. Oh, man. Bear down. More. Push it more. Great. One more. Okay. You're under arrest on suspicion of kidnapping.